Hey, what is up guys? So this is a very important ruling, as well as basically Konami killed Pendulums really hard with this update. Now this is on the official Yu-Gi-Oh card website in Japanese. Keep in mind the Japanese rules of the game are different from the TCG, but I want to say this one will probably be similar, but I just wanted to say that first off, just in case that they do happen to change it, because people change their minds all the time in this game as far as rulings goes. You guys know that. But anyways, the Japanese site got updated, and they have a bunch of rulings, and I wanted to go over them and also explain why Konami basically killed Pendulums, because a lot of people are saying rip Pendulums. They're killing it really hard, but it might come back later on. But anyways, I know you guys want the English version, and it's basically a bunch of the stuff that I've summed up through this translation on Beyond the Duel. I'll also link this down below. So I'll link the Japanese one and I'll link the English one down below that explains a bunch of stuff that I've already talked about. But there is an important ruling that I need to go over with you guys that did get announced. So before, they were saying that you had to special summon things that were from the extra deck to the extra monster zone. And now, on the official statement, they say that the pendulum monsters that would be summoned from the extra deck zone must go in a linked zone or in the area that is considered the extra monster zone. And I also want to go over an important ruling with Soul Charge and also some other cards that had interesting interactions that you guys had something to say about. So first off, important things. So let's say I'm going to go for a pendulum scale completion and I want a pendulum summon. If I don't have this decode talker, like let's say for example, I do not have the link monster over here, like this card is gone. There's no monster in the extra monster zone. I cannot pendulum summon the Cliffort Helix as well as the Cliffort Monolith, both of them, because I only have one slot for the extra monster zone. Keep in mind, you can only control one zone as of now. That's something that we will change potentially in the future. I'll also explain something with Soul Charge in a second, but anyways, so yeah, that is an important ruling, and that's why a lot of people have been uploading videos saying rip Pendulums, and this is partially true right now. Again, sometimes in the future, we'll probably get some Pendulum, you know, the card that goes in the extra monster zone and like completes all of them. We have potential to get that, so I don't want to say that it's a nail in the coffin for the future of Pendulum decks, but as of right now, guys, it's not looking too good for them, because you're going to have to special summon them to the extra monster zone, because they are technically coming from the extra deck, even though you can technically special summon them from the hand. So that is a very, very important ruling. Now also, a lot of you guys had this question of like what happens with Soul Charge. Now, Soul Charge will get monsters from the graveyard. Now, important ruling over here. Let's say all of my monster zones are full. Like I have 5 monsters, I want to activate Soul Charge, and I want to get this Sandwich Fusion monster over here, and I want to place him in the extra monster zone. I cannot actually do that. The only way you can special summon a monster to the extra monster zone is via the actual extra deck. If you activate Call of the Haunted, Soul Charge, Monster Reborn, when it comes back, Konami, bring it back. We are actually going to have to special summon that to the regular monster card zone. I also explained in the past you cannot actually put a Kaiju in the extra monster zone, even though you would be tributing it. It has to be in the monster card zone. The extra monster zone is only for monsters in the extra deck that would be summoned first from the extra deck. That's an important thing. But I did want to go over a few other like important rulings. Like I said, they mentioned a lot of stuff that I've already mentioned in this article, but that was one thing that was changed since my last video, which was that when you're special summoning a pendulum monster from the extra deck, it has to go in the extra monster zone, or it has to have the link. So basically, what that means for Pendulums, and again, why everyone is saying that Pendulums are dead. Again, I feel like right now, yes, that's true. But in the future, again, we might get some better support. But that means if I was playing Metal Foils or something like that, I'd have to be able to create my extra monster zone. Then I would actually be able to Pendulum summon. So it does hurt a lot of different decks. I know Fluffles, they're taking a pretty big hit over this because you can't, you know, go for the dank octopus plays, or the Kraken plays is what I should say. But nonetheless, yeah, that is an important thing. But also, there's a few cards you guys had questions with that weren't actually covered in my previous video. So a lot of people ask, can you use tokens? And this is what I was told from someone that works on the Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro team. They said you can. So the answer is yes. You can use Scapegoat and get 4 tokens. Now keep in mind, Scapegoat does have the fact you cannot summon other monsters the turn you activate this card. So you'd activate this during your opponent's end phase. You would then have 4 monsters to be able to use for your potential link monsters. So Scapegoat could potentially see some play due to that. Also, someone mentioned before Ojama Trio, because you would special summon them to your opponent's side of the board. Now, we all know you can synchro summon with Ojama tokens, but obviously it says the tokens can't be tributed for a tribute summon. Now, originally the idea before was, okay, I'm going to go ahead and place my Decode Talker, or my guy over here, and I'm going to basically lock my opponent out. Let's say that Decode Talker, it was a different Link monster, and it didn't have the arrow for them to summon. So the whole idea was, I'm going to take this extra monster zone, leaving my opponent with this one, and usually the link would be like, let's say like it would go right here, where my mouse is. I'm gonna do this so you guys on mobile don't have to squint your eyes. So let's say that the link zones were right here, and right here. That would be the most common thing for an extra monster if my opponent was to have one. So the idea was I would go ahead and make my link monster on the right side. I leave the left side open. I would Ojama Trio and I would hit these 3 cards and I would lock my opponent out of their extra deck. It's a lockdown. So a lot of people thought that that would work. Well, that's not actually the case, guys. You can do that. It would be bad because you would actually be helping your opponent. And again, this is from someone on the Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro team, which, obviously if they're making the game, that's how it's going to be rolled. Unless, of course, we get an update via Konami and they change this. You can use tokens. Even Ojama tokens can be used for a Link monster. So you would be screwing yourself over. Don't do that, guys. However, there is one card that can technically work against your opponent, and that is Ground Collapse. So you can make your Link monster on one side of the board, and then you Ground Collapse your opponent, and you say, my opponent, you can't use these cards, those zones. So that would, again, potentially lock your opponent out. If you were to activate double Ground Collapse, and let's say hit like, a bunch of zones, all the zones that would be used for them, then yeah, you could lock them out. So if you guys really want to go for a lockdown, definitely look into Ground Collapse. Do not try to do Ojama Trio because it is not going to work. But also, a lot of you guys also mentioned, what about other obscure cards? I know that there's other cards that special summon things from the extra deck. For example, Starlight Road has the effect where you negate a card effect that would destroy 2 more cards, negate the effect, and if you do destroy that, and then special summon a Stardust Dragon from your extra deck. Now, this card over here, it does special summon from the extra deck, so if you do not have a linked zone, Stardust would have to go to the extra monster zone. So if you don't have like the correct links up, or obviously if it's full, then you wouldn't have room for a Stardust Dragon. But even if, let's say you had room, let's say, let me move some of these. So let's say you had this zone, let's say you had this zone full, you had this zone full, like these 2 zones were full, and you would go ahead and activate Starlight Road to protect your Cleese over here. You couldn't even summon the Stardust Dragon because there is no zone for it to go for, because you already have your extra monster zone covered, and the links only go diagonally bottom left and diagonally bottom right, so you wouldn't have space for it. So that's important. There are also other cards say ignoring summoning conditions. Now, we haven't had an official statement, but I'm just going to give you guys a heads up. I'm pretty sure you'll still have to meet the requirement of having that monster be able to go to the extra monster zone, even though the card will say like ignoring summoning conditions or something along the lines of like kind of breaking the rules, so to speak. But I'm pretty sure it still would have to go there. But again, we have to wait for Konami to have that official statement via their actual page. Also, someone asked about levels. There is no levels. Actually, it probably says it right here. There is no level or rank, so they're unaffected by Gravity Bind. Also, your opponent cannot attack you directly if you still have one of these. That was a question. It was actually in the article itself. I didn't go over that, but I just want to go over it right now for you guys. But again, if you guys want to read everything, I'll link all the stuff that I mentioned down below. And as of right now, it's still the same. I talked about this before where it says the link. It always has the monsters as requirements. So some of them will say normal, some of them will say effect. There might be other ones that requires things later down the line. But also, in addition to the whole, if you're bringing out the pendulum monsters from the extra deck, them being summoned here, I already went over this in my previous video, but it's more adding to the feel of why people are saying pendulums are basically killed. Konami killed them. Is that you lose 2 of your spell and trap zones. Also, another thing I wanted to mention, Wavering Eyes cannot hit the cards in the pendulum zone if they aren't pendulum monsters, because these cards don't actually get considered pendulum zones until a pendulum is activated. So that's just a little important ruling that I thought I'd go over. But yeah, we pretty much went over most of the stuff that I wanted to go over. Again, I'll link the stuff down below. If you guys have any more questions, I can actually personally talk to someone that works on the Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro game. And obviously, if they're developing the game, that is how they are going to be ruling it. Until we get an official statement by Konami, you guys can go ahead and make those link monsters with tokens. I'm wondering if there's any other good cards that can work well that just give you a bunch of tokens, because I'm pretty sure there are a bunch of cards that let you get a bunch of tokens, but they have some kind of downside or something. But with link monsters, like if they don't have effects or something, it doesn't really matter, because you just need like plus 1 or more monsters, or sometimes they require certain things. But nonetheless, have some fun, guys, and you guys let me know if you feel like Pendulums is over, because a lot of people, and I have to agree, they did kill it pretty hard with you lose 2 in spell trap zones, you have to have the link, like, it's not looking too good for Pendulums. But again, guys, I don't want to say that they are completely going to be dead. They're just kind of dying out right now until we get some support. I'm sure, again, guys, we'll get some support. Don't worry, it will happen. And then we'll all complain that Pendulums are back and they're broken and OP. But anyways, hopefully this helped you guys out with some rulings as far as other things go. If you have any other questions, like I said, let me know down below, and I'll go ahead and ask one of the guys, I got hair in my mouth, that works on the game, and we can try to solve some of these problems that we're having right now. Also, it helps them as programmers, because there's going to be interesting interactions with other cards. But also, I just want to give myself a shout out. I just finished the entire campaign of For Honor. If any of you guys are interested in checking that out on my gaming channel, I'll link that down below. This game was pretty sick. If you guys are interested in some violent action, you know, gameplay, For Honor was a really cool game, and like I said, I just finished it. But anyways, yeah, those are the rules, and let me know down below if you guys have any questions on specific cards or something like that. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and I'm signing out.